If you have ever wondered how artists actually go full time, today I'm gonna tell you the truth of how I did it. And the skills that got me there were honestly kind of boring. They were definitely not glamorous, but they did get me to a point in my life where I was able to fully support myself just with selling my art. So today I am sharing with you the 5 very unsexy skills that help me go full time as an artist and how you can use them for your own creative career. Let me be real with you. When I went full-time in 2016, it didn't mean I was driving a Ferrari while my art magically paid my bills. In 2016, when I went full-time as an artist, I had no kids, I had no mortgage, my cost of living was much lower, but I was supporting myself with my art. What it meant at the time was that I could pay my rent, I could pay my groceries, I could set aside a little bit for savings, but most importantly, I was able to take on art projects that I actually really cared about, but that I knew couldn't pay me anything. So I was able to make my weird ASMR crafting video with my friend Gabby at the time. Improving my product photography was the single most unsexy skill that I learned how to do during this time. But it did make the biggest difference in my career. I did not want to learn lighting. I did not want to learn how to edit photos. And I definitely didn't want to clean my lens. But once my photos went from dark dorm room vibes to, oh wow, she knows what she's doing, that's when everything started to change. That's when my Etsy listings started to convert higher. That's when publishers started reaching out to me to license my artwork. That was also a time when I could charge more for my art. I got my first licensing deal with a publishing company in 2016 with Routledge because they saw one single Etsy listing photo, and that image carried the whole negotiation. I ended up being able to sign this licensing deal off of Etsy, so I didn't have to pay any Etsy fees or anything, and I was able to negotiate the amount that I wanted for my artwork. In the online world, your product presentation is, in a way, your actual product. You should really try to focus on clean photography. Aim for a white background if that works for your work. Invest in some good natural light, maybe get a softbox. Shoot from multiple angles. Phone cameras are so good these days, and there are so many resources here on YouTube where you can learn how to get the best settings on your particular phone to get really sharp product photography. And make sure to give yourself time when you're doing these photo shoots. When I first started off, I would give myself like 20 minutes and I would be rushed, and you could see it in the photos. So give yourself 2 or 3 hours to really learn how to do this, because it will change the game for you. I know everyone says, build an email list, but no one really talks about why it's so boring. It's because building an email list takes time. It takes technical skill. Growth is super slow. Writing emails can be really boring and painful, but now with the advent of AI and ChatGPT, it is so much easier to get the ball rolling on writing something. So use all the tools that are available today. When I started my first Etsy shop in 2014, we didn't have all these tools that are available now. So that is a cool thing about being an artist now, is that we do have access to all these great new tools. My email list has consistently saved my business. When Etsy changes its algorithm, my email list keeps my traffic steady. When I decided that Instagram was toxic and I didn't want to be on it anymore, my email list was what kept my business steady. When I felt creatively lost and I was still wanting to connect with people, I was able to connect with people through my email list. Not always just to sell things, but to let people know what I was working on, or to know that I was still out there. So here is how I would go about building an email list. Is I would first start out with a freebie that is aligned with what you do and your particular work. So I have a freebie, and it is a free printable wall art, and you can see it here. I'll have it right here, and it'll be in the description. This freebie is connected with my business because A, it's art, and B, it's printable, and you can use it for a gallery wall. I created my freebie, and then you want to post the link to that landing page everywhere. So I have it it in my Etsy shop. I have it on my website. I have it on the homepage of my website. I have it in my link tree. And it's important to also just send out emails even though you feel cringe or embarrassed by yourself. One way that I like to think about my email list is that it's like my creative inner circle, and it's not like an audience that I feel like I have to perform for. An email list is the least glamorous foundation for a full-time art career, and it is a very powerful one. If you create an email list, you are protecting yourself from all these different algorithm shifts, and that email list that you create, that is yours forever. So that is a powerful thing. Start your email list and start small. You don't need to do all of these things that I'm telling you all in a day. Sometimes the difference between an artist who dreams and an artist who makes their dreams come true is this one boring skill: staying home and working even when you don't want to. In my 20s, I was part of this really cool group of artist friends, and my friends were going out to shows, they were going out to events, they were going to each other's receptions and their book release parties. And most nights, I stayed home with my laptop. Yeah. That's what I did. I stayed home with my laptop and I was doing a lot of writing. I was reading a lot, and people called me antisocial, and it was easier for me. I'm an introvert who is very skilled at extroverting myself, but being around people really does drain me a lot. So it was easy for me at the time to say no. And it's not because I was antisocial. It's because I was so determined to reach my goals, and because I didn't want to keep working these dumb jobs where I was a receptionist or as a marketer, or these silly jobs that you have to take when you're in your 20s. I remember in college, I had this really great art professor who told me this thing, which was that you need to watch out for those people who are constantly going to other people's shows and other people's book release parties and that sort of thing, because those are the people who are not doing the work and who are not showing up for themselves. As an artist, you want to surround yourself, of course, with other artists, but you want to surround yourself with other artists who are working, who are doing the work, because those are the people who are going to take off. This isn't about hustle culture. This is about intentional trade-offs. So if I spend 2 hours and go to my friend's book release party and I'm drinking and I'm hanging out, then that means that's 2 hours that I'm not able to spend on my own book or my own painting or building out my shop or doing all these things that it requires to become a full-time artist. I think it's important to ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice for the next 6 months or so to build the life that I actually want? Okay, here's the part that no one really wants to hear. Self-promotion feels cringe until it stops. Honestly, it still feels cringe for me to self-promote, but I know that it's necessary. And if you are out there thinking that someday someone is gonna see this brilliant creative light just emanating from you, that's not how it works. As a self-employed artist, you really have to put yourself out there and promote yourself until you're able to find an agent or a manager. But in the beginning, it is a lot of self-promotion. When I was first starting out, I was experimenting with marketing constantly. I was posting my art on Instagram even though I didn't feel like it. I was talking about my Etsy shop on social media. I was sending out follow-up emails and how are you doing? Do you remember me? I make art emails to my email list. I was testing out these weird Pinterest strategies, and I was updating Etsy listings regularly, and most of it flopped. And a lot of it made me just want to melt into the floor. But every cringe experiment teaches you something, and it gets you over that hump, and it forces you to get over yourself, because truthfully, if you're an artist who is just starting out, nobody really cares. And that's the beauty of being an unknown artist, is that you can experiment and you can try lots of different things and no one's gonna say anything because nobody cares. Good for you. So this is the way I would get over this fear of posting. Just post what you can. Post the messy stuff. Just post where you are at the moment. I personally don't use Instagram or TikTok anymore. I found them to be extremely toxic, but I still do use Pinterest. I definitely use email, and now I am using YouTube. Hey, and I actually really enjoy making this long form content. I think it's really wonderful to connect with real people. It's important to find the platform that you actually like. If you're like, everyone's saying use Instagram, but then you find that Instagram is actually really draining to you, you need to find something else. The quicker you can find the right platform for you, the better. So if TikTok just doesn't feel right and you don't like it, it's too chaotic, then move on, try something else. If you're in the beginning stages of your art career, try out maybe one channel for marketing a month and see how it feels. Give it a month. It's not going to feel comfortable in the beginning, of course, but after 30 days of posting regularly, you should get a sense of whether or not that is the platform for you. And most importantly, you need to stop waiting until you feel confident. Confidence comes from doing the thing. Here's a secret. I didn't go full-time as an artist because I was the best artist. I went full-time because I learned the skills around being an artist that made me a successful artist. So I learned product photography, email marketing, SEO, blog writing, pricing, negotiating, reading contracts, writing contracts, video editing, creating digital products, reading books about customer psychology and pricing psychology. This was really important. These were not glamorous skills, but they built my career. So quick story, I made a Etsy shop called Good Luck Templates. And this was like my passive income shop, and it totally flopped. But learning how to build these digital products gave me the framework so that I could make my hand pillow sewing pattern. So I made a sewing pattern, and it's on my Tiny Pink Shoe Etsy store, and it's now one of my best sellers. And from the failure of Good Luck Templates, I make printable brain art for my Interstellar Art Etsy page. Learning from my failures was a really important way to reframe my idea around failure and what a flop meant, and I was able to take all of those lessons and put them in something that actually was more successful and that was more aligned with what I enjoyed doing. There's so many skills that you can learn as an artist. A really great way to start is make a list of 3 unsexy skills that you wish you knew how to do, but that you don't know yet. And I would start reading about them. I would start watching YouTube videos about them. I would start learning. So how can you learn how to do product photography better? How can you learn how to create a great e-commerce website? And then from there, pick one skill that you are willing to spend time to master in a month. Being able to constantly learn will outperform talent and creativity every single time because you are challenging yourself to learn new things. Learning skills beats raw talent every single time. And this is so important that person A might be such a wonderful artist, but if they don't know how to do product photography, or if they don't know how to market themselves, or if they don't know how to communicate to people, the chances of their success in going full-time as an artist will not be as high as someone who maybe isn't a better artist, but is able to communicate effectively and is able to show their work through photography. These 5 boring skills that pushed me from being a starving artist to someone who was building a career from my artwork definitely were not glamorous, but they will move you from that dreaming phase to the next phase where you're actually a full-time artist. And your art doesn't need to be perfect, and your work doesn't need to be perfect, and your timing doesn't need to be perfect. But your strategy and your consistency, that is what will really move the needle on your success. If you are an ambitious, financially minded artist who wants structure, clarity, real talk, then you are in the right place. So comment below, which unsexy habit do you think you need to work on? And if you want my exact blueprint on how to start a successful Etsy shop in 2026, click on this next video. This is a behemoth of a video, and I take you through every single aspect of building a successful Etsy shop. I will walk you through the exact system that I would use today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.